These videos aren't always fun to make, but it's what the people want, and I am just a humble servant giving you what you ask for. Multiple people have slid into my DMs, emailed me asking, "Hey, Cole, who are the teams that you think are going to regress next season?" And it's kind of a double-edged sword question because I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for. So I took it as, well, these teams, they had great years, good years. Their records are not going to be the same in 2024. Let's go ahead and discuss who's taking a step back. But before we do, if you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on which team takes a step back after a dominant 2023 season. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, best of bros, the drunk dude passed out in a Waffle House parking lot, and college football aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. And we're going to get there. So jump on in while the water's fine. Follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. So, teams regressing in 2024. There are going to be some teams that absolutely fall off a cliff. Like, remember Texas A&M? They went 9-1. They went to the Orange Bowl. Then they went 8-4. They didn't go to a bowl game because of COVID issues. And then the year later, #1 recruiting class, all expectations, drop a game in week 2 to Appalachian State, and that was just the appetizer for the main course of mediocrity that led to a 5-7 finish. Those are going to be some teams. And then there are going to be some teams that you saw dominant success that just won't be able to match that same persona. So let's start out with the first one. It's Michigan. National champions, 15-0. They ran the table. They did everything that was asked of them this past year. And this was a culmination building up for 3 seasons. Year 1, you think that you're good enough. Cade McNamara leaves. Guess what? JJ McCarthy enters. He's now QB1. Next offseason, JJ says, we'll be back after losing to TCU. He admits to the commitment. Guess what? Team goes on an epic run. They end up undefeated. Well, you lose J.J. McCarthy, you lose Jim Harbaugh, you lose Roman Wilson, you lose a multitude of defensive players, including one of your top defensive backs. You are losing several offensive linemen. Your star running back is gone. And on top of all that, it is a new system. Whether we want to say that Sharon Moore is going to pan out and be like Marcus Freeman, who will have a couple years to figure things out and put you in the right direction or not, it's going to take some time. And you look at the schedule next year, especially with what's added in along with USC, plus Washington, plus Oregon, plus what they were able to also bring in via the transfer portal at some of these schools. It's very hard to say an undefeated season is on the horizon. You just look right now. 1 game is all we're talking about. With regression, they could lose at the season's end against Ohio State. That might be the best team in college football this year. There may not be anybody who can come close to competing alongside them. So it's very easy to say Michigan college football playoff team, absolutely. Undefeated Big Ten champion, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Speaking of pumping the brakes, Washington. Yeah, they did good last year. You cannot take anything away from the Huskies. Every single time that they were doubted, they lived up to the task. They were more than capable of beating anybody in the Pac-12, and they went on a run all the way to Houston. Well, that run led to Kalen DeBoer taking the job down in Tuscaloosa, Michael Penix Jr. now bolstering his draft status to go to the NFL, Ramadunze leaving, Jalen McMillan leaving, Jalen Polk leaving, all this talent going elsewhere. 20 starters of the 22 are gone, either via the portal, and a lot of them come from the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line, or in the NFL draft. So this is a bit of a reset. Yes, I like the head coach that's in place. Jed Fish, the one person that I would trust, just like I would trust my brother to watch my future illegitimate kids. Jed Fish running a program that has to go through complete change. I trust that more than life itself. That's the right guy at the helm. But that does not mean 14-1 is on the horizon. That does not mean Big Ten champion is going to be attached to your name. Top 10 passing offense, top 15 rushing offense, one of the best scoring offenses in the country. That's not going to happen. So I do think the Huskies are in a lot of good places, but you look at their schedule next year, it's a little daunting at times. Games against Michigan, Iowa, USC, Penn State, certainly not the best gist of what you want in year 1. Does not mean they can't be 9-3, maybe 10-2 if Will Rogers hits, but it is going to take a little bit of time for them to get their feet underneath them in a brand new conference. Speaking of new conference, they're adding teams, but this team lost a lot of talent and its head coach in the process. It's Alabama. They went 11-2. 11-2, I think, is plausible, but I also think 10-3 is plausible. I also think 9-4 is plausible. That does not mean that you are going to be shown the door and not make the college football playoff, but you do look at what you have next year. Your schedule is a little challenging. It's a brand new coach. You lost over 25 players in the portal. You brought in some names, a lot of good names. Austin Mack as your long-term answer at quarterback behind Jalen Milroe. You also went and you brought in Jeremy Bernard at a wide receiver, punt returner. He's going to help out. There's reason for optimism. Ryan Williams, 16 years old, going to be there for 4 years, hopefully, as the difference maker on the outside. But you are hitting reset a little bit. I will say I trust this offense. Ryan Grubb, good play caller, a good mastermind when it comes to the design. If Jalen Milroe knows how to play or learns how to play quarterback like Michael Penix Jr., we're salivating at the mouth if you're an SEC fan. Or if you're an SEC fan, you are now going to church on Sunday and you're cursing Jesus' name or the football god's name. Why the hell did you do this to us again? We just got rid of Nick Saban. I think that can happen. I really do. Kalen DeBoer is a top 10 coach, and it doesn't matter that he's going to the SEC with no experience whatsoever. He could coach in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or Seattle, Washington, or Los Angeles, California. The same result's going to happen because winners win. I do think, though, let's go ahead and take a little bit of pressure off of him in year one. You get 10-3, you're still in the hunt for a college football playoff spot. You get to 9-3, you get to 11-1, you're certainly in the hunt for a college football playoff spot. I just think that when you look at this Alabama team, we're probably going to see a few more losses than usual, which under Nick Saban, that was basically the end of the world. Let's not do that to Kalen DeBoer in year one. It's going to take a little bit of time. Speaking of time, Florida State. They have time to sit and fester with the knowledge of knowing they were left out of the playoff. 13-0 in the undefeated regular season. They beat Louisville in Charlotte, and they were told, nah, not good enough. Just 2 weeks before, they were told, yeah, we're not going to penalize you because you don't have a quarterback. We're totally lying, bruh. Just totally lying between our teeth. Aren't that right, Boo Corrigan? That was very scary of you. Not the point. The point is that undefeated seasons in back-to-back years almost is unheard of. And the talent that you did lose is substantial. Now, you did go out and you added in premier talent, 14 names via the transfer portal, 13 of which come from Power 5 schools, Power 4 schools, if you really want to get now politically correct. But this is a team that is replacing its starting quarterback. They're replacing its running back. They're replacing both of their star wide receivers and a tight end. They lost a premier pass rusher, a linebacker, an interior defensive lineman, and 2 defensive backs. There's going to be a game where you look back and say, hey, we won because Keon Coleman came up clutch on third down. Well, he's not there anymore. Number 4 can't bail you out. Will someone step up in his place and be able to do that? Maybe. But it's very challenging for me to say right now. I think that's going to happen. Florida State, still without question, front runners to win the ACC. And Clemson could stick around for sure. And naturally, Miami is going to draw a little bit of buzz. SMU, I'm telling you people, death, taxes, Cole being high on the ponies, making noise in year one, those are going to be staples of your society. All of them are going to hang around. I think Florida State is better. But undefeated regular season, conference championship, guaranteed playoff spot, all of that is up for debate right now. Let's see what the season looks like after the second wave of the portal. Let's see what DJU looks like as he's slinging it around the yard with Alex Atkins' offense. Mike Norvell's got the right pieces, and they can be selective at this point in the transfer portal. They don't need to go out and add in every 5-star or every 5-name hunky-dory player. They can actually wait it out. But with waiting it out also means that there are players that are going to enter the portal. You're not going to get everybody. Maybe you take a step back because of it. Next up, Iowa. They were the Big Ten runner-up. Here's why Iowa is going to take a step back. They are the worst case scenario when it comes to, or let me phrase that. Pause, strike. They got the worst end of the stick when it came to conference realignment because we already knew the Hawkeyes, they don't know offense. Their offense is more anemic than the Naval Academy or any of the Service Academy's units. They cannot throw the football to save their life. But they're good defensively. They get a lot of third down stops. Their punter is going to be a future Hall of Famer already. We're going to miss Tory Taylor. But neither the point. The point is that Iowa always had the Big Ten West in its favor. Well, now it doesn't. That's just kind of the case in point. Iowa was always able to secure a spot in the Big Ten title game or 9-3 seasons because, well, we know we're better than this team, this team, this team, this team, and this team. So we're at worst going to finish second in the Big Ten West rankings, and at best we're going to win and go to Indianapolis. Well, that's not the case anymore. They also did nothing in the portal. Like, you look at some of these teams. Clemson, we don't expect anything anymore because this is just what Dabo's preaching. Iowa, there's a reason nobody went to Iowa this year because you watch what happened with the offense and nothing came of it. You just hired a new OC in Lester. Maybe it works out. Maybe it doesn't. It can't get any worse than what it was. That's the thing. It can't get any worse than what it was. And you do have some games that are probably going to be winnable. The Cyclone Bowl, everyone knows what that one's going to be like. Illinois State, Troy. I think you'll beat Minnesota. So 4-0 to start off the year. But then you got games against Ohio State, Washington, a Michigan State team that should be improved underneath Jonathan Smith. Who the hell knows what Northwestern's going to be? Wisconsin, UCLA, Maryland, and Nebraska to close out the year with so many questions on the offense and really only Caden Proctor being the one finite piece you got from the portal. 10-4 seems highly unlikely. I'm thinking more so around 7-4. I mean 8-4, maybe 9-3. And that's if you're on a good day, you have an exceptional offense that isn't completely fumbling over itself. Even then, that's still a tall task. 2 more for you. Troy, Sun Belt champions. See, this is the good thing about Group of 5 schools. For those of you that watch these games, you'll understand why Troy is going to take a step back. The last 2 years, they had one of the best defenses in college football. Nay, not Group of 5 defenses, not Sun Belt defenses, total defense. They were top 12 in total yards allowed this past year, top 15 back-to-back years in scoring. They were phenomenal underneath John Summerall. And they also had a really good running back in Vidal that was able to set the tone on the ground. Well, Summerall's in New Orleans now because if he's replacing Willie Fritz, and Vidal's going off to the NFL draft. So Gerard Parker's coming in, and maybe he'll end up being able to stabilize this offense, and maybe he'll be able to keep the good times rolling down in Alabama. But you look at some other teams that are coming up. You look at some other teams that made some moves. I still look at a place such as James Madison. I think they're really good. I think they're put well together. There's a lot of upside there. I just don't think 11-3 is going to be in the cards this year for a guy like Parker. Does not mean that Troy can't be a Sun Belt contender, but 11-3, I wouldn't hold my breath. And lastly, Missouri. I don't want to put Missouri on this list. I really don't. 11-2 was phenomenal, but we also have to realize there comes a time where some part of the offseason will overhype coaches, and we will start giving out accolades that really shouldn't be there. And Eli Drinkwitz is kind of falling into that trap right now. If you look back at his schedule, first double-digit win season in 4 years at Columbia, first year where you've actually seen continued growth offensively and defensively. You had a veteran defense led by Ennis Rackstraw and by Tyron Hopper, and both of them are gone. And you also lose your defense coordinator in Blake Baker, and you also lose several defensive assistants who followed him down to Baton Rouge. So I believe that with this offense, you are going to be fine. Theo Weiss Jr. is back. You brought over Caden Green from the transfer portal. Marcus Carroll is going to be humming in the backfield in place of Cody Schrader. Cody who? Exactly. That's what you're going to say. Brady Cook's still there. You had the Biletnikoff favorite in Luther Burden. There is reason to believe that this offense can be top 20 in every category, also maybe even top 10, and they can hold their own against almost every opponent in college football. You just need to know what you're getting in your defense, especially with a brand new coordinator calling the shots. They finally made a hire. Corey Batoon is coming over from South Alabama. Very good defense. Was he the one calling the plays? That's going to be a question that we don't have an answer to right now. He was able to develop some good players at South Alabama. Maybe he'll do the same thing in Columbia. They did add some defensive names in the portal. I'm not ready to give up on a team like Mizzou. I think that they can be a playoff contender. I think that they can be an SEC contender. But with the writing on the wall, you lean at least a little bit of regression setting in at some point. Does not mean they're going to be dead in the water. Just don't go ahead and say, oh, Eli's building off of this year. Drink is drinking more Kool-Aid and we got to go. Their schedule, it's very manageable. It also can come with a few trips and blips on the radar, especially if the defense isn't as fundamentally sound as it was this past year. But there you go. Those are the teams that I think are absolutely going to take a step back this year, at least in terms of record. Michigan, sorry, folks, you're not going undefeated. I don't think Washington's going to be a perennial contender next season in the Big Ten. Could in the future, just not next year. Alabama, I think, could be a 10-win team, not an 11-win team. Florida State, you're not going undefeated in conference play. You're not going undefeated during the regular season. Iowa, hate to break it to you, the Big Ten West is out. So are your chances of making it to Indianapolis. Troy, I think that you're good. I just don't think that you're 11-win good. And last but certainly not least, Mizzou. I'm actually just throwing them on this list. Was I crazy to put Mizzou here? Maybe a little, but at the same time, you don't have a top 50 defense next year. I can't promise you getting 10 wins. You do have a top 50 defense next year. I think that you're at least flirting with the 10, 11 win season. And with that, college football playoff bound you will be. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.